Mr. Nate, welcome back, dude. Hey, well, this is like a couple of things before we get started today. What I want to say is this winter has been awesome. You have been extremely gracious. You have taken my family under your wing, shown us a bunch of awesome trails. I'm extremely grateful
You've been
for your
mad
friendship.
at me too, or the situations that I brought you into.
I mean, I just know that I don't believe anything you say. And when we go to ride, I just know that I'm going to suffer, and that's fine. But
Did you suffer recently though? On our most recent ride,
there were a couple times.
I was suffering though too with a few things. It was hard.
It was hard. We were trying. I was like, there was a couple where it was like it was the one where it wasn't part of the trail we were supposed to be on. We just made that left to go up that hill.
Oh, yeah,
and we're
yeah.
like, oh, let's check this out. And I'm like, wah.
I didn't expect you to come up because I was like, oh, I'll go look at it. And I went up and I was like, oh, this is really loose at the top.
and I got stuck, and then I'm like pushing the bike, and then I'm backing it down, and I'm not, because like my whole thing was like, I'm not dropping this bike today. I did drop the bikes. One bike.
Were you
I
on the
forget which one.
25 then?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I dropped the bike one time. So the premise of today's video also, thank you for everything you've done this winter. It's been awesome. You have been a great person,
Thanks,
and I
you
am
too, man.
very thankful for it. But the 2025 and the 2024 Ultra Bee, that is the point of this podcast. And we want to talk about the differences, but not so much the differences. And I have notes this time, brother.
Wow.
Yep, because I knew I couldn't depend on you for everything.
You're like me.
I know. So here's what I want to do. This is not necessarily notes of what I want to talk about, just how I kind of want to frame the podcast so we don't go off on too many rabbit holes, because we are dying in the gear shed today. It's 100 degrees. Fan's not really working. If you hear a fan in the background, it's because Nate wasn't able to remove it. All right, a rundown of each bike with all parts. I want to explain the ride to people so they understand the severity of the situation. And then, obviously, both bikes started at 100% in what we ended at, because I think that's a really
Oh, yeah,
interesting...
you took note of that. Good.
Yeah, I did. We each rode the bikes evenly. I
You
want
think
to
it was
state
50-50?
that. Very close. 60-40 maybe.
Yeah.
I think once I got back on my bike, I was like, dude, I just love this thing. Let's stick here.
Yeah.
But I think 60-40. And we both... And that's more for... you're faster on a motorcycle than me, so you're harder on the throttle than I am.
Yeah.
So
who knows
think,
when I had more time on? I can't.
Yeah, so
really
it's
remember.
hard to tell, but it was very evenly split is my point. And the biggest takeaway for me, or one of the biggest takeaways, is grips and tires. Those are things I want to talk about: the hand grips or handlebar grips and the tires.
You like those polo tops, huh?
I know. I was telling Cohen this morning. I'm like, dude, there's no way. There's no way I'm ever going back. So let's start there.
Yeah, I feel a little bit more blistered up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. But the first thing, let's talk about the bikes. So if you guys are new here and you don't really know, we are talking about my 2024 Ultra Bee, which is built with Cirrus suspension. I want to go out on a limb and say the gearing. I forgot to look at the sprocket this morning. Do you know what the 2025 Ultra Bee comes with factory? Is it 48
I think it's
or
still
50?
46.
46?
I might be wrong, but I think it's still a 46.
Let's get that, because I think that's kind of important. 2025 Ultra Bee rear sprocket size. Sorry that I'm doing this on camera, but
I feel like I looked at it when I first checked out the bike.
46. You're right.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So outside of the Cirrus suspension, we have a difference in gearing. That's really the only difference, because the 2025 Ultra Bee, we haven't released any videos on YouTube for it yet. We have some recorded, just haven't got there yet. But it is completely stock. It does have the dampening flex bar mounts from Warp 9.
Yep.
I think we both run those on our bikes and we love them, so we put those on this one.
Yeah.
Factory handlebars. The 2025 also has an 1821 KKE setup.
Yep.
Now, the one difference is the Pro Taper tires. I went with Pro Taper because when I was at the motorcycle spot, and they were like, hey, we've got some Pro Tapers in. Do you want to try them?
Where was that? Where'd you hear
Right
about
now, down the street
them?
here.
Oh, wow. They talked about them. I looked
Yeah.
them up today before I came in, and I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had
didn't
no
either.
idea that they were making them.
When I was at AIM Expo, they had a Pro Taper setup with Turn 14, who's like the main distributor for them. But and they had tires. So, and it like left my mind. But when I saw them again, I was like, sure,
Yeah.
why not? It's worth giving it a shot and tell people what we expect.
They're cool. They look nice.
Yeah, they look great.
Yep.
And then outside of that, the Warp 9 drop brackets is what the 25 has, and the 24 has the charged drop brackets.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So both of them one has KKE foot pegs, one has Warp 9 foot pegs. that's really it. Now, the 24 with the Cirrus is geared at 52 teeth in the rear versus the 46 that comes factory on the 25.
Which you'd probably change that maybe on the
we're definitely going to change it. I've already ordered the sprocket, so we have the sprocket. I just haven't had time to put it on. But we took this, let's set the stage for the ride because I think it's important. So I will have you put the Charouleau Gap trail information in the show notes, and I'll put it in the description on YouTube. If you guys have never seen or heard of Charouleau Gap, it is a pretty famous, I would say the most famous 4x4 trail in Tucson, for sure.
Maybe even Arizona.
Yeah, it is very, very famous. It's rated, I think, 8 or 9 out of 10 on X Off-Road.
Is it?
Yeah. And we'll try to put a link that isn't on X Off-Road just for everybody who doesn't pay for on X Off-Road, so it's not behind a paywall, so you can look at it.
Yep.
But it is a difficult trail. I mean, it's not easy. I don't really know. I'm just very cautious to say like hard enduro because I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't think it's that hard.
No, but
it's just like it'd be a harder trail ride. A bunch of obstacles. It's cool because there's a lot of there are flowy sections to start it out. We started from the north end.
Yep.
Just for reference on this, because we kind of did an out and back thing, maybe 9 miles in, 9 miles out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's flowy, but then you get into some hills. There's a really awesome hill on that.
There is, and I did not have the balls to go up that hill, but you did.
Wait, no. Oh, that one's cool too. But the one that you did do.
Oh yeah,
I love that hill. It's
the one
fun.
on the way out.
No, when we started the ride, that big sustained hill.
The one that you took off on and did by yourself and then came back down?
No, the one that you and I both did. It was on the trail. Remember how you did that sharp little left-hand turn and then went straight up that thing?
Dude, it all runs together. You got to. How many times have you run that section?
3 or 4 times.
Okay, yeah. So I'm still everything to me is still.
It was the one long hill.
Is it the one we saw when we were stopped?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
That one.
And that was not that bad. That was long and sustained.
It's super fun though.
It's just very loose.
Yeah, but there are flowy sections.
Yes.
It's pretty loose because it's dry here right now.
Yeah.
Most of the year.
Yeah.
Big hills, a lot of rocks, big chunky stuff too. Kind of like more hard enduro style rock type stuff in the very bottom of it. Some rock slab stuff that's really loose. I mean, what else would you define on
I
it?
think you have the flowy sections are really, really fun. And that's on your way in. And like you said, when we were on the way there, you kind of get your body warmed up.
Nice warm up.
And then on your way out, you're tired, so you're just cruising and you're hitting those bumps and you're just flying. And it was night. So we came out at night, not intentionally, but when we start, we
the last 2 miles of our ride is pretty dark.
Yes. And we had our headlights on. So, but you're just it's a really cool, fun cruise. It's almost a warm up on the way in, but you've made it on the way out.
You get
okay,
past all the hard stuff.
There is nothing else difficult. I'm just having fun now. You get to go fast.
It's a cool trail.
So Charouleau Gap is, I would say, it's for an more experienced rider. I don't know. I think Cohen would have been fine on a 2.0 or any bike.
For sure.
He would have been fine. So somebody with experience can ride any bike. Yeah. But I think, so that's I want you to check it out just because it'll be good for you to have some general information as we talk about this.
There's a lot of footage out there too.
Yes.
Not a lot of dirt bike footage, but a lot of 4x4 people who have released footage of what it looks like out there.
And I was going to record a video that day, but then I was like, man, this is the last time I'm going to be able to hang out with my friend and just ride. So I didn't. And then when we were coming back and we were coming down that massive hill and the sun setting in the background, I'm like, oh my God, this is why I should have at least just had the camera.
Yeah.
Because it was the most peaceful cruise out of there. And I don't know, it was great. It's really hard to set the scene
More
verbally.
days to do it.
Yeah. Yes, I know. Next winter. But so take a look at that because I think that's important. So the bikes are relatively set up the same. Obviously factory suspension and all of that, but that's what we'll get into today. Last part here. So I make sure we're covering our bases. Now, both bikes, when we started, had a 100%. I charged them personally. I made sure they were good. We pulled out of there with 100%. Yep. Now, the reason that's so important is because we got a 55 amp hour battery in the 24 and we have a 60 amp hour battery in the 25.
Yep.
And we both ride the bikes pretty much the same. So I started on the 25, you started on the 24.
Yeah, and one other thing. But as for the gearing, you have a little bit more battery on the 25.
Mm-hmm.
However, the gearing is at a little bit of a disadvantage because we both rode them in the medium map D.
Yep.
So the 2025 is probably putting out more power to try to do the same things.
Yeah, well, it has to. Yeah.
So Just
And
to
I
let
think
people know.
we were in the daily mode, both of us. I never came out of it.
I don't think I did.
Yeah,
either.
I mean, we just stayed there. It was perfect. So, all right. All that said, I started on the 25. You started on my 24. You've ridden my 24 many times. So I guess I want to go. This isn't going to be a true comparison. What our intentions are is to give you our opinion of how both of these bikes rode and how they performed and what you can expect. Because originally, the last time we had a conversation, you were talking about, man, the 2025 is really great.
Yeah, is it worth upgrading?
Is it worth the upgrade
over the 2024? Yep.
Right, because right now, so let's explain a little bit about that 24-25 BS that they're kind of pulling here. So the 2024 model is 12.5 kilowatts, right? Or is that what it was?
Yep, 12.5.
And there are new 2025s that aren't the 21 kilowatt bike.
I didn't know about that. So
Yes.
it's kind of like basically a 2024, but they badged it to
2025
because
yeah.
it got made in 25 before they released a new one.
Yep.
So that's confusing.
So
but
it is confusing.
Let's just say 25s are the new 18 to 21 kilowatt kind of zone thing. Yeah.
Yep. So from a price perspective, the new 25 is $6,500, and the 24s, I'm sure you could probably pick one up new. I don't know, this 5,200. I think I saw them for. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah,
too?
I would say like 50, 55 to 58, like all day, maybe if you get a deal. 52. Okay. Yeah.
So then, with knowing that, what do you feel after your few hours on the bike? Do you feel that you would spend the money to upgrade to the 2025 over the 24? If so, what would be your reasoning? And if not, what's your reasoning?
I think as for trail riding, I had no part of that ride where I was like, I would choose this over my bike.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, even suspension. I feel like what I'm riding for suspension and gearing and all this stuff, I can get all those rides done really well. I think if I were on a motocross track and feeling the extra little bit of power, I would consider it, but I would also look at like, well, how long does the battery last when you're riding it like that too? You know what I mean? Honestly, it was kind of nice to ride it and to realize like they were kind of, when you look at them, they're like different bikes. Yours has Cirrus, it's 24. You have the 25 with stock suspension. Yeah. It's upgraded from the 24 stock. But honestly, at the end of the day, it just feels like an Ultra Bee to me. Yeah. Like I just feel right at home on it.
Me too.
And like you were saying, that hill section, I was like, do you want to hit it? And you're like, dude, no. It's like super steep. And I went up at first on your 24. Yeah. And then you're like, do it on the 25. And I did the same thing. Yeah. And I was just like, I think we might have had the tire pressure a tiny bit higher in that. Yeah. I wasn't being perfect when I was like letting them out. I think we noticed that later. It's either a tire compound thing on the Pro Tapers versus the Dunlop, but they just feel the same. They lay down the power pretty much the same way. My gearing on my bike with the 54 tooth, I think I'd prefer for that kind of hill. Because you kind of need a little bit more
on a 24. If you need to be, you would probably need to be geared higher in order to feel comfortable doing that hill.
Yeah,
okay, I got you.
I do notice that Cirrus suspension does make a difference.
Of course,
I would set mine differently. That's another thing too. Is like both of your bikes, the 24 and 25. I know that the 24 is more set up for like what you've been doing. Yeah, the 25 you guys have just been playing around with. You had it at a moto track.
Yeah, we're just playing with it.
Yeah. With both the bikes, I would set them up a little bit differently suspension-wise. Right. But I could tell that the Cirrus definitely held up better and it did a little bit better in kind of the chattery kind of stuff. It just was more planted. But yeah, honestly, like, I feel like I would just stick with my 24. I'm going to wait until something's like very obviously different before I would upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes sense. I think... And I already knew the answer to that because we had talked about it on the way home. But like, I wanted to give people an opportunity to hear you say it, because I think that it's very easy to get caught up in the new. I know from experience. I love to have the new, and it helps that I do things with it like this. That
and you do get an upgrade from a 2025.
For you,
no doubt, you get more power, you get a little bit more battery, and you get better suspension. Yep, it's undeniable.
It is undeniable. Yeah. And I think the 2025 versus 2024 is overall a better bike. Now, is it worth? Here's the question that I think when you talk about people getting into the new, right? And you get a new bike or you want the newest bike. Most of the people I talk to, there's very few people that I talk to that I sell bikes to that are truly, they really understand a motorcycle in any capacity. Yep. More and then a dirt bike, like they barely understand a motorcycle, but then like the dirt bike thing, they really don't get.
This is one of their first experiences.
One of their first experiences, yeah, and generally. And that's not always the case, but I would say 75% of the time, you're selling a bike to somebody who really doesn't know a whole lot. So it's very easy if you wanted to be the person that upsells them things and sells them all the stuff that they don't need. But realistically, if I'm going to buy a motorcycle today or an Ultra Bee today, and I'm looking at 6,500 plus whatever, and 52 to 58 plus whatever, if you're buying it from a individual, it's obviously different.
Yeah.
I don't, most people, 75% of the population do not need a 25. They could just save the money. It's not that they can't ride it. Like
you could probably also get a really nice built up 24 for
and
I
got that's a good point,
because they're out there.
What do you feel about buying a used bike? Would you buy a used Ultra Bee with 506? What do you got? What's your bike got? 500 or 600 miles?
600, yeah.
Would you buy a used Ultra Bee with 600 miles?
I think I said this in another episode, but I think after doing it, I would feel comfortable doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, I had this one time a few years back where I bought a 450L, and I got it from a kid, and it looked like it was really good to go. Based on Honda spec, the top end didn't need to be done for another like 10,000 miles on that bike, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And then I get it, and I ride it for 500 miles, and the top end's done.
Right.
And that left me, it kind of hurt. And like at the end of the day, it was like only $1,300 to do it, which I didn't want to spend.
Right.
And also it just like kept me from riding for a while, which I don't like being away from a bike. So I think like after having an experience like that, I just didn't want this like brand new E-moto experience to leave me in that position.
Right.
Especially because I knew that it's not just like a $1,300 top end. If the battery's bad, it's a $2,000 thing. Yeah. It's a $2,500
Luckily,
thing.
maybe you can find one either really close to new or used
for sure
at a decent price. But
yeah, so I think now after knowing that the Ultra Bees are so reliable, I'd feel comfortable buying a used one because I would know what to look for. But yeah, even like an experienced motorcycle rider coming into it for the first time, I just didn't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
Also, I got a good deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I got one for $5,800 cash, walked
no
out
tax,
with it. No
ready
tax.
To go. Yeah. And the person was even willing to like do would you get a new charger or something? Like whatever he did, like he honored whatever it was that
he
you were
didn't
having
do
issue
that.
with.
I actually paid for another one because I got the new charger with my that was the only downside. I'll actually say that to the public here. If you're going to buy an Ultra Bee, and if someone is going to give you not an OEM charger with it, they're going to package that it's by the brand Zane.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like what the E-Watt chargers look like.
Right.
If they're going to give you that, be aware that it is not going to charge the bike consistently to 100%.
Right.
And that pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because that left me with maybe 2-3 miles fewer than what I wanted to get each ride. And my battery is only charging to like 94%, 95%. And I think it's a battery saving feature. But like, dude, I need every single percent I can get.
Yeah, well, 2 or 3 miles that's like the make or break.
It is, yeah. So just a public service announcement here. Yeah. If you get a Zane charger like that, or if you're looking at a bike, ask them what is the charger. Send me a photo of the charger before you go get the bike, because I wouldn't recommend getting that charger after having it. I'm going to keep it because yes, it will charge my battery to 95%, and then I can use the other one to top it off.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 batteries. I want to be able to charge both simultaneously.
Right.
But yeah, that was something about the whole interaction that I didn't like. Yeah. And I knew it right away. I didn't know what the result was going to be, but as soon as I got there, because I knew that, did you know that the Ultra Bee charger like fits under the seat?
Yes. Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like I would never do it, but like there's a way for it to like the cables to route out and you can like hide it under the seat. I knew that was going to be like the case with that. So I initially was like, okay, that's what the charger should look like. And when I saw the charger, when I went to pick up this bike in Phoenix, which is an 1.5-hour drive from here, I was like, this isn't an OEM charger. What's going on?
Right.
And he said, oh, the OEM chargers have issues. This one's better. I took his word for it.
Right.
And now I'm like hardly using that charger because it just doesn't do what I want it to do.
Well, and I think that's another thing just for people to know. If you're getting, we've kind of came to the conclusion that more than likely it's an Alibaba bike. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's my belief. Okay. But I want you to understand something. Surron knows that people on Alibaba sell their bikes. It's not that it's not a real Surron. It's none of that. But if you get a bike and you go to buy a bike and it does not have an OEM charger, you can generally guess that this was bought off Alibaba. That doesn't make it a bad bike. It's just better off to know what you're getting, or just to know where it came from.
Mine is confusing though, because the battery has like English writing on it.
Yeah.
Which I've seen like Alibaba ones, and I think primarily they have Chinese on them.
I don't
Mandarin.
know. Maybe.
I don't know. It's a confusing deal. At the end of the day, though, I have a reliable Ultra Bee. It is a weird process, and I think like...
So that's what I'm saying, right? So buying used...
It's just like hard to know what you're getting.
It's hard to know what you're getting, and I know what I've done to my bike after the 500 miles I've put on it, or however many there are. I take care of it. I do all the things, right? I make sure that it's greased and oiled, and I tighten all the... But I also, you're going to have issues with anything that you buy that's used. You're probably going to have those issues quicker. So if you don't have somebody, or you're not well versed in the E-moto scene or with the bike that you're trying to purchase, and you don't have a friend or somebody that can come with you and take a look at all the pieces and components, I would just be careful, because if this market, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. And there are a lot of people out there that are buying bikes that could be really messed up, putting a couple parts on it, putting it back on Marketplace, making a profit. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The only issue is that it could put somebody in a bad spot. So that's my 2 cents. But
I agree.
Okay. Where the hell did we leave off? Rabbit hole. There's a lot of sections in Charouleau Gap where it's very down and right back up. And like, you're near vertical faces. And there were a couple times where like I was on the 24 and I was just like, frick it. I'm just hitting it. Like I didn't even care. I just wanted to see. Like it wasn't enough to flip me over the bars.
Yeah.
But like it absorbed everything. And then I tried it on the 25 and it still did really freaking good. And you took that out you brought it out 5 clicks on the compression, yeah?
Yeah. And I guess I kind of forgot that because we changed back at the very end after I did that. So I didn't have much time on it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it felt a lot better when you did that.
It was just a little too stiff up front.
Yep.
I will say though that the suspension is definitely stiffer, because where I was out on clicks for that would have been significantly softer on my 24.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the conversation we were having is, I think when Surron decided to make the 25 Ultra Bee, they geared this 25 Ultra Bee much more towards the moto track. Yep. For whatever reason, I know that there's a bunch of guys racing in arena cross on them, and there's a bunch of people that are racing them in general.
Yeah.
I really think they geared this bike towards the moto scene, not so much the trail riding, hair scramble GNCC scene.
Yeah, and I think they upgraded what they needed to. I mean, better suspension is always going to be
for sure
the move in like a forward direction.
Yeah,
and I think the extra bit of power is nice too. But just to be able to have that option, I mean, the map still felt good. I'm curious to like if I would compare it to the same exact gearing as my bike, what mode D would feel like compared to it. Would it feel like it has more power, or did they keep D to be kind of like the same amount of power as the 24, and then Sport gets like the big bump?
Well, what I feel is in the two bikes, the 52 tooth on the 24 and the 46 on the 25, I feel that their power delivery is very similar.
It is. So it must be putting out a little bit more power.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Because I felt like, I know before I changed my gearing and I had a 54 tooth rear, it was
2 teeth made a big difference.
Fucking massive
difference.
difference.
So that's actually a really good point, because if 2 teeth makes a big difference, now we're talking 6.
And that 2 teeth made it so I ride that bike in daily. That's just where I start. Before it would like start in eco for a little bit, and well, depending on if we're taking like a 5-mile ride to the trailhead.
Yeah.
But I go right to daily and then to sport. And that's basically what I'm doing on the 25 is I'm going right to daily and then to sport if I want to ride it in sport.
Yeah.
And I feel that the power on both of those is pretty much the exact same in that mode with the different gearing.
I would agree. Yeah. Cause like the only time I really, really had to go wide open on both bikes in that mode to like climb was that really steep climb. And like at the very
I wish
end,
I would have just had a cell phone.
I know. You should have filmed it.
I don't know.
It was but yeah, that was like a good test. And I honestly felt like I might have had even a little bit more power on the 25.
Yeah. It felt snappy. Like just now it could have been a big part of it being newer. Like I'm not saying, I don't know if it like actually runs better. It just feels like it runs better.
I'm sure
when
it's kilowatts.
Yeah. It just has to be like more power. It just felt really good. Yeah. I mean, we had the bike, we were in Hangtown last weekend, and they have like a practice track they're their big track wasn't open because the race is this weekend coming up.
Yep.
So we were able to ride the practice track, and we were able to ride a bunch of trails over there. I did go over the bars on the trails because
which bike?
The 25.
Nice.
It was just like super big and rocky stuff, and I eventually got like I just hit one really hard and kind of lost it. I was able to slow it down enough, but then still wrecked it. But the one thing about the 24, I feel that the traction, and I don't think this is just a tire thing. I think the way the suspension is set up on the 24, it actually promotes more traction on the rear wheel. Now, I don't know if that's a sag issue, right? Or if like the bike is just set up better or it handles, I don't know. Maybe this is like a more technical thing.
It's a few things. That could have been it. I think from my perspective, I think the traction was tire pressure, rubber compound.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could have been like a rebound kind of thing or something in the rear, but can't say entirely.
Okay.
It's just also so hard to have like multiple variables going on. But after kind of like feeling the tire, I don't know. I'm also used to having like IRCs on my bike.
Dude, and they're that like, and
so I have like,
I
have even like more traction.
Yeah. Then I would say though, the MX-53 that we have on there,
I'm impressed with it.
That tire is so versatile.
There's a lot of surface area on it. It's heavier and I can feel that, but it, in a way that's kind of nice too, because it just feels very like planted.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I kind of think I preferred the feel of, what was I on when we first went in the big rock stuff? I must have been on I think I was on the 25.
Were you?
Yeah, I think so. But I think I just noticed that. I feel like they were just like a little bit bigger tires than what I have on my bike.
Yeah. Another one, you ride a 100 or a 110?
100.
Okay, that's why they're both 110s.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I was just also like taking it slower. And like the last time I ran that section, I was alone and I was probably like, just like being masochistic and like trying to force myself to like go as fast as I could through it rather than like as cleanly. So that's probably also part of this too. But I did feel like it was very planted, you know what I mean? I felt like it was just very stable, and there's something to be said about that extra little bit of rubber and weight going on.
Oh, for sure.
I do think my bike feels more snappy though. Like,
I could see, well, yeah.
It's more snappy with the IRC. It's the VE 33 and 35 tires for anyone who's wondering.
And IRC, just for anybody who's wondering or maybe doesn't know what the hell that means, it's a tire brand, but they are
very enduro focused.
Yeah, very enduro focused. So to the touch, like if I squeeze a knob on the MX-53 and I squeeze a knob on the IRC, it is noticeably like softer and gummier.
And mine aren't even like the gummy compounds.
That is crazy.
They make like softer tires.
I bet that is it probably makes riding.
That's what hard enduro guys use. Is they use like an IRC gummy tire, like true gummy tire, and they don't last very long, but they hook up.
I could only imagine.
Yeah, which is like, I get it.
But that's free. I mean, that's literally, you're riding in the desert. Well, it's always dry.
And for them, they're primarily doing a lot of like rocks and like hopping over rocks. Yeah. And like, you kind of just need to stick.
Yes.
When you're doing that stuff. So I get it. Personally, I haven't run a full gummy tire. For me, after using this one, I don't think I will, unless I go to like a Moab type place. I'll like throw it on just because like I know that 5 miles of hell will probably like be a little bit easier with that.
I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know how much, because what you got to remember about the Moab, it's sandstone, right? Yeah. Sandstone. It's so like, it's funny because I was thinking this when we were riding. I was thinking about riding in Moab, and I've done like a lot of like four-wheeling, like off-road driving, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
In Moab. So that sandstone is so grippy already, dude. Like, you go out there with just a regular set of like tires, you're getting so much extra traction. I think like you probably wouldn't even need it.
Though.
For sure.
And also
5 miles of hell looks like hell.
Yeah. And I mean like a Moose setup. So you're like running like what would be really low PSI.
Yeah.
You know,
what would you be at with bibs?
I don't know, like what it would be comparable to, like pressure wise.
Yeah, pressure wise.
It's probably like 6 or 8 or something like that. Something
you're
that
getting it all.
Something that you wouldn't really do with like a tube. You know, I think I could go down to like 8.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd be comfortable doing it. Like 10 is kind of my spot where I'm going to like stay. And for me, that's partially like, because I'm going to do different kinds of riding. I'm not going to ride Moose tubes on like, on a moto track.
Right.
So I want to be able to like change my pressure.
Right.
So for me, I'm fine with like tubes. And even if I went there, I'm sure I could like be fine. The Ultra Bee is such a cheater bike anyway.
It really is.
Like it's just, even if you would have a disadvantage of your tires, it still would be like, easier to do that than any other bike. So
let's talk about the tires, because the Pro Taper tires, the one, and we do believe it's the compound. It could be a mixture of the pressure as well.
Yep.
But where the MX-53s thrive is obviously on a motocross track. But
Yep.
I have been riding them. Every time we've gone riding, that's what I've been on. And they do really good in these conditions out here as well.
Yep.
The Pro Taper is definitely a harder compound. And what we noticed, and it wasn't until, I mean, we were basically back to the van at that point.
We were in like really loose, kind of like flowy stuff.
Yeah.
Like really loose topsoil kind of stuff though.
Yeah.
Like really, like hard pack, but like loose.
But
almost
I
like
was
sandy dirt
noticing it, like, well, I mean, just when the
Yeah,
loose
yeah.
rock.
I noticed
like,
it immediately when you were honking your horn. I was like, something's wrong. Or
no,
we're
I
gonna
was just trying
change
to get
bikes.
your attention.
Yeah. And then you're like, feel this. It feels so loose in the rear. And as soon as I got on, I was like, yeah, it does.
Yeah. So we think it's just like a mixture of the compound of the tire and possibly the pressure. We attempted to put them both to 10 PSI, but obviously when you're unscrewing the nozzle, you could lose a half a pound here or there on each tire. You don't really know.
The sidewalls, like there's just so much
There's
stuff
a lot
that
that
goes into it. It's so important to just remember that tires are like one of the biggest things you can change.
Well, and I think what we noticed is that while I was honking my horn at him is we were coming back and it felt like every time, I mean, I barely cracked the throttle, I was breaking that back tire loose.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and on the 24, that just wasn't happening.
And it was more of a tire thing than a power thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
because I really think with the gearing setup in the 24 and the way the 25 comes factory with that sprocket, you're running that D mode is really similar.
Hey, what did we end up on battery?
Okay, so we both started at 100%, and then we ended the day at 37% in the 25 and 36% in the 24. And that was after, you had the mileage.
36 in the 25?
36 in the 25, 37 in the 25, 37%, 36% in the 24.
Practically the same.
Practically the same.
And yeah, I would say you're using a little bit more power than 25 because you do have a slightly larger battery.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
And what was the total mileage on that?
Good question.
Because I know we had like logged it once we got back.
Yeah.
It was close to 20.
I did save it. Yeah, sorry. I'm just learning how to run Onyx.
Oh, really?
I just don't know where to like find the routes.
Well,
okay, I got it.
I got it.
The elevation gain was 4,600 feet.
Okay.
And the distance total was 18.2 miles.
Okay.
We weren't going that fast though.
No.
I was like taking it easy and kind of set the pace, making sure I was with you. But yeah, and I mean, we had some times where we stopped too. So
yeah, but I mean, a couple minutes here or there.
Yeah, but 18.2 miles. So yeah, I don't know what you would guess you would get. I mean, it's pretty just similar to like.
I mean, you're going to get 25 or 30 miles depending upon how you ride it and how you baby it. I was really hopeful that it would be more than that. And I don't know why. I just think like that's always the hope, right?
Let's also remember that you had to double take a few sections on the 25 on your way back too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're burning some extra energy like in those sections too. Whereas if you just kind of like one and done it, you're moving on.
Yep.
So I would say you were putting like a little bit of extra power out of the 25. So I would say like if you gear it right, you're definitely getting more range on the trail.
For sure.
I don't think it's night and day, but like
but again,
5 amp hours makes a little difference.
Maybe it's 2.5 miles, maybe it's 3, but that's the difference maker, right? That's the difference between, that makes a 25-mile ride possible and still getting back with some battery, and it's all good.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the range question, it's the question that I get asked the most. How many miles will it go? And for example, the perfect electric cycle rider just put out, what's the guy's name? Tucker. Savage. So savage.
He was just shredding in sport mode, in case you haven't seen the video. Yeah.
Shredding in sport mode. And literally my filmer, I sent that video to my filmer and editor. And I said, hey, I want you to look at this style because it's just very clean. It's crisp. It's none of the fluffy
And you
shit.
didn't know Tucker was like a cinematographer.
No, I didn't know he was a cinematographer, which makes a lot of sense now. And my editor and filmer like messaged me back. It's like, is he like talking while he's riding? Because he is fucking shredding. Sport mode through the woods, and he's like having a conversation on camera, like, oh yeah, this is like feels kind of weird. He's not out of breath, and I'm like out of breath watching him ride. I'm like, oh my god, he's so fast. But the point is, the question that comes into account on these bikes, and I think a lot of people quite honestly, I think a lot of people are buying 25s because of the 5 amp hours. I think that is one of the deciding factors when they go and if they had both of them in front of them, let's say they're apples to apples, price may be a little bit different, but not much.
I mean, why not go with the 25
For sure.
now? If it's like right now, unless you see a 24 at a really good price or it has upgrades and it's at a really good price, I mean, I would just go for a 25.
Yeah.
If it's within budget. I mean, it's
For
like
sure.
we said, it's the better bike of the two.
It is the better bike of the two. And when you ask the range question, this is for anybody who's ever asked this question. And if you're thinking about asking this question, I need you to just try to do some simple math prior to asking the question, because there are so many things that you need to take into account when you are talking about range. You have to think about, well, what mode are you in and what type of rider are you?
Yep.
And be honest with yourself, okay? Like, I'm not that good. I just do this for fun. I really enjoy it, and I don't care to be the fastest, right? Nate's a lot faster, much faster, significantly faster. So range for him is going to be not much, but it will be different.
If I ride at my my limit, it will be different.
Your limit and my limit is the difference of probably 4 or 5 miles out of the same battery.
And most of the time when I go out and ride, I'll have sections where I'm like riding my edge, but most of the time I try to ride in like, honestly, like 60,
especially because
75%, because I'm just like trying to not break my body.
And you're alone. You don't want to have to get yourself out with a broken arm.
And I understand the consequence of a lot of things.
Yeah. So you have to ask, what kind of rider are you? And you have to ask yourself that question honestly, and you have to be able to answer it honestly. And it's okay. Like, there shouldn't be any ego in this. Also, the reason why the rider is so important is because how heavy on the throttle are you, right? Are you a wheelie guy?
How heavy on the bike are you too? How much do you weigh?
How much do you weigh if you're 160 pounds or you're 240 pounds? I can't do that math. Well, this is how the question is always asked to me. Well, how many miles does it get? Well, then I say, well, how do you ride? This is the most common answer. I grew up on dirt bikes my whole life. Okay. So that means dick to me. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you almost need like, here's a form.
Yeah.
Like, how much do you weigh? What kind of riding do you do?
Can build this.
What's your, like how many miles per hour are you averaging?
Yeah. So the reason this is more of a rant.
But like, honestly, if you're not overweight, like if you're, I would say under
190, 200.
Yeah. Like I would say like that's overweight probably for most people.
I mean, unless you're like 6'6".
Yeah. Like I'm 160 pounds now, probably 165. What are you?
175.
Okay, cool. We're similar. So like, I mean, if you're doing that and if you're riding trails, like you can get 25 miles out of one of these bikes and be riding like a little bit conservatively.
Yeah.
In this is trail riding, conservatively in like D.
Yeah.
Which is like most trail rides, honestly.
But in D is fast.
Yeah. And if you're in sport mode on like a track or something like that, you're probably getting less than 20.
You're probably getting less than 10.
I'm gonna say 15.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
Sport?
Maybe 13.
Yeah, like you're in between 10 and 15.
So that's just, it's a great point. I mean, like you can half your miles.
It's an unsolvable question or an unanswerable question. And what solidifies the point that I'm trying to make here is Tucker from Electric Cycle Rider rode that bike in a way that 99% of people couldn't even dream of riding that bike, okay? And he got back to the truck or the van.
And in a way, he's efficiently riding it,
and
too.
He's riding it...
he's putting a lot of power in, but because he's going so quickly, he's like floating through things that some people would just be like...
trying to like crawl over.
Yeah.
Or walk around, whatever.
Yeah.
So the point is he got just at 20 miles and he was riding balls out for sport mode basically the entire time.
It was a lot of elevation too.
And he was really high.
I think it was like 6,000 feet or something.
I mean, there was snow on the ground.
That's impressive. Still. I mean, I'm sure that he would want more out of that. I'm sure, obviously, it'd be awesome to have like that experience and go farther. But yeah, I think for most people who are riding like a normal trail pace, expect to get 25 miles if you're going to trail ride. If you're going to be riding in the city, you're probably going to get more because you're on a very like easy surface
if you're
to ride.
Doing wheelies.
Yeah. If you're aired up on your tires and like you're riding on flat surfaces, you're going to get more. But yeah, I would say like, if you're trying to have an Ultra Bee for like strictly a motocross kind of thing and you don't, this is kind of where I was, like I didn't have a spare battery to begin with. And then I got out there and I rode and I got my laps in, and I was like, I just have more in the tank. Like I can just ride more than what this. So I feel like if you're going to go into the moto kind of side of this, maybe look at getting a second battery.
Yes.
I assume that you could put a 20, 23, 24 battery in this bike. It's the same volts, right?
I charged it with the same charger.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have to follow up on that and see if it's like the same.
Well, it's the same exact everything.
Yeah, same size. It's just different amp hours.
Will it fit?
Yeah. I can't imagine it's that different.
No, I can't imagine
unconfirmed. But I mean, honestly, if you got a 2025, you want to do more moto stuff, you could probably get a 24 battery. We saw some the other day for $1,300 on Marketplace, brand new. That's never even, that's like it's gone one cycle. Yeah, that's like $400 less than iPad. Yeah. So that's a good deal, and that's out there. I think if you're going to go into moto though, I would consider having a second battery because it is that nice. And honestly, these bikes don't charge that quickly that you're going to be able to like charge it up a really significant amount on a break. But for trail riding, honestly, like go on Onyx, see where you want to ride. If you can fit like really good rides within 25 miles, which I did this experiment. I like looked at my routes and I was like, okay, I can seriously do most everything I want to ride in that mileage. Charouleau Gap is a little different. I would love to be able to go out and back on that, but also like 36 miles of like techie stuff.
Worked.
Is pretty hard on you. So, and I could do that technically. Now that I have 2 batteries, I could do a battery drop kind of deal. Yeah. This trail works for that. Some will not.
Right.
Because there's like a road on the start on the back of this. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I think like 25 miles of trail riding, I think you can like count on that as long as you're not like super heavy.
And I think, and it's just something to keep in mind that all of these bikes, depending upon their power outputs, it's just the question and the rant is, you know, Tucker did 20 miles. We did however many, what did we say? 18. We still had 37% left, 36% left.
He went down to 3%, by the way.
Who did?
Tucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact that we had that much percentage left, I mean, at that pace, we probably could have gone like above 25.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we would have got 30, 32.
I don't know about that, but
really,
like,
I think one of the rides
I've never gone that far before. I think I've actually like, this is a different pace. I was riding more your pace because I was like, well, it's different. This is our first time that you and I have just ridden together. Only because typically when we've gone out, Co has been with us, and Co pushes me to ride more his pace, and then Co's pace is more like what I normally ride. Right. This was fun though because I like backed off, and I could just tell like, dude, I'm gonna get way more miles out of this bike.
Oh yeah, and like we had we got to take everything fun, and the one part about that ride down in the wash section is like it's very bouldery. Boulder's maybe the wrong word, but I would say I mean they're big, and
for sure,
and it's all 7, 8, maybe 10 miles an hour, and it's all body position.
It's fun,
and it's so fun because like you're just worked. Your back is like
trying to stay on top of the rocks,
and you're just moving, just small movements to keep your balance, and like you're hitting. Like, it was just great.
It's fun, you can like ramp stuff, and it's just it's very creative kind of riding.
It is.
That's what I love about that.
And I think that was a lot of fun. And one thing that I noticed, and I think this is one thing that I mentioned. So if you are on the 25, and I think it's perfect. I really do think that bike was built more specifically for the track. And I think that you can really, really have fun with that bike there, but you will need another battery. The suspension is better. It definitely feels better. It feels more plush. So much so that I'm not touching it. Like I could go get Cirrus and put it on there. No big deal. I'm not doing it. I want to see how good this suspension is. Now, what I said to you on the trail was on my bike, the 24 with Cirrus, I feel like I don't have to move around. Like if I'm on a line and there's a big rock, I just hit the rock. Like, and it just kind of absorbs it and I can keep going. On the 25, you get more resistance from that style of riding. So when you hit a rock like that, you have to manage the bike a lot more than the suspension managing the rock.
Like deflex a little bit more.
Yeah, like it bumps you off and it throws you off a little bit more because it's not so plush.
It could be settings though in a lot of ways. You could get closer because I've done it on the 24. I've gotten to a spot where it's like solves most of that issue. Yeah. The Cirrus is still better, but it's really good, man. Yeah. It's a really good bike and there's not a lot that you need to do with it. No. And I think if you knew what you were doing with your suspension and if you had a spare battery for moto, that bike would crush on both moto and trails.
And what I said was that I told you this, if I knew now or to do then what I know now about the 2025, because when I was looking to get another bike just to ride on the track. So I didn't put any miles on my,
Yep.
on my 24. And being the suspension the way it is, it's still fine. I could have done it. It was totally fine. I just want that bike for the trail. It's perfect for the trail. I don't have to touch it. I just ride it.
Yep.
And that's a luxury, but it's just my personal reality. So if I would have known how good the 25 was, I wouldn't have got the Stark.
That's a big statement.
Because and not because the Stark is not a piece of jewelry and it's not awesome and it's not fast. And it's not
but
great.
like from your motocross riding perspective, you actually have more fun on a 25.
100%.
Ultra Bee.
And all of it dials down for me. And I think a lot of people would say, well, I don't even feel the weight. And it's true. When you're on it and you're riding it, you really don't feel the weight of the Stark. But the fact is, it's heavier. Like it is heavier. It takes more momentum to get over the jumps.
It's even like moving it around, like
putting it on a stand.
Putting it on a stand. You know it's there.
So I think like I wouldn't have got the Stark because I would have just got the 25 and another battery. A 25 and another battery, and I can do for my pace and the way I ride on the vet track. I'm not out there on the big track clearing these massive gaps.
But you could.
Dude, you have.
Yeah, by the way, people, if you haven't seen what's his name? Talon Pemberton?
Tyler Pemberton, I think.
I think it's Talon.
Whatever.
Talon.
One of the two.
I think Talon. Look him up. He posted a video recently that was like a Stark versus Ultra Bee comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he rides that Ultra Bee, I don't know if it was...
Oh, we were watching that.
Dude,
weren't we?
Blew my mind.
Fucking sending.
Yeah, like if you don't think you can ride like Sirius MX on one of those bikes,
you're
you
out
should
of your
watch
mind.
that video because like it's pretty insane how fast he was going on that bike. I could tell a lot of that was too like he's obviously a very good rider,
Very good,
but also that power closed the gap a lot.
Well, and that was my question because Co and I were just watching a short came up or something, and it's one of the guys. It was Josh Hill on his Ultra Bee, and he is hitting this massive jump. And I asked Co, I said, "Do you think that's stock power? Like you've ridden it?"
Wait, was it a stock 24 video?
No, it was a 25. I don't know what year Ultra Bee it was, but it was a recent.
What was the jump? What was it like?
It was not the one where he like jumps and lands the back tire on that box and bounces off. It was another one. I think it's the same jump without the box because he's like really laying it out.
That must be his. I think it's a modded 24.
And that's my question.
If you look at his bike, but he has the this Surron racing package.
Okay.
So if you look at his motor, it's the blue motor.
Okay.
So I think he got that like racing package, which basically like
is the 25.
I think
right?
it is probably very similar.
Yeah.
So, and he has Cirrus suspension.
Yeah. But like, he's hitting these jumps hard. Like, is that stock power? And that's why I asked Co because like he's riding at that level where he will know, like, I don't know if I could do that on stock power.
It's like upgraded Surron, I think.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, that's probably stock 25.
Probably a stock 25. But even the small refinements and the small changes really do make that bike so good. The 2025 Ultra Bee, if I had to do it again, I just wouldn't buy the Stark because the Stark is really cool.
Do you still want to keep it?
Dude, I just have so many bikes. I think...
Do you think Co would race it or ride it?
Yeah, well, the reason I am keeping it for right now is because a lot of the GNCC races that are like Northeast, they only allow Starks. They don't allow Ultra Bees. Like,
it's so weird.
I know.
Why?
Like,
it's like a...
I know. Dude, I don't know.
Like, do they think it's at an advantage or...
It has something to do with AMA. So I guess AMA is allowing those bikes to compete.
Approved, yeah.
So like the Ultra Bee is just not there yet for whatever reason. I don't think... And personally, my personal opinion is like Surron's not pushing that envelope too hard. It's like the community is pushing the Surron,
GNCC,
the Ultra Bee.
I'm sure a Stark would be probably a better bike, but dude, I mean, some of this hard enduro stuff, like...
I wouldn't want to do that on that bike.
I actually think, I might be wrong, but like when you look at the numbers from TKO, Tennessee Knockout, for people who don't know about it, I think like the electric bikes are actually some of like the fastest lap times there.
I'm sure.
And I'm
sure. Well,
that's wild.
And if you think about what you don't have to do, and if you're running TKO, you're pretty confident in your ability, period.
Yeah.
But like, what do you not have to do on an electric bike?
A lot of things. And the fact that you can just climb so easily on an Ultra Bee and go through the rocks and not have as many tip overs and not have to restart your bike and like, and
you're managing a lighter bike. Like that was the one thing, because when we were in Hangtown on their practice track, like, the Ultra Bee just feels good. And that's in sport mode, just ripping. Like the track is really small and I don't think it's set up the best just because like you're kind of, every jump is right out of a corner. So like you don't get a chance to get a good run up. And for people that aren't like super skilled at their corners. Like you kind of come out of it funky, and then
Did Ko have to like seat bounce him, or how did he?
No, he was able to get them fine, but I mean
Yeah.
his corners are dialed.
He just has to corner faster.
I
sure.
corner slower than he does, so it was hard for me to kind of get set for that.
Yeah.
But like the power was great. We killed the battery in however many hours, but
I'm surprised you didn't put your 24 battery in it.
I just didn't have it with me. That's when we went to build the Moto van.
Oh, so you didn't have it with you.
I just had that bike and then 2 others.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and it was just so perfect for that. And So anyways, I would, if I knew then what I knew now, I wouldn't buy the Stark. I would buy a 25. And I think I would be so stoked to have it. I would just put that additional money in wheels, like I already have, tires.
That could be your one and done bike too. Like I could see you having a trail bike and a track bike if you had the 2 Ultra Bees. But honestly, you could just have like one 25 Ultra Bee
and be done
your
with
track trail bike.
Yep.
Done.
Yep, for sure. And the tariffs haven't seemed to impact the prices on the Surrons too much. I don't know if they have or not, but it seems like they're pretty well going for $6,500, and then you probably pay a little bit of tax and a little bit of everything.
Maybe they're just doing that to make sure that they just keep selling bikes, and maybe things are going to change too.
I know, dude.
I mean, it's just always changing. It's just stupid shit.
I know. It's the dumbest shit in the world, and we're trying to react to like these situations, and like the industry trying to react to the situation, but like it's all, and I get it, like it's profit driven reactions, like they don't want to lose.
But some people are
going
to just like play the long game.
Yeah, and that's what I think Surron's doing. I think Surron's
just
like, hey,
this is not going to last forever. We're not going to like screw people over temporarily.
Right.
Like we'll take a little hit. We'll like
now
keep going.
if you know that Surron did raise their prices, put that down in the comments or whatever, because I'd be interested. I didn't know. I don't sell them, so I just love them.
And maybe some people just got them before that happened, and that's what's being sold right now.
And then the last part I want to talk about is the thing that I never thought I would be as a grip snob. Dude,
I'm so proud of you.
The pillow tops are so plush. And you just feel like when I got back on the 25, I could just feel the rocks through the grips.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, golly, these things are like paper thin. I'm just taking a beating on my hands.
It's nice too. I have pretty big hands, and like it's just nice to have a grip that's a little bit of a larger, I'm not going to say girthier, I'm going to say larger diameter.
You already said it.
Yeah.
No, but I think, I never realized that. And like that does make a big difference. So I tested.
That's a $15 thing that you can do.
It really is.
I mean, I think all points of contact with your bike, they all matter.
Yeah, they really do.
Your tires are your first point of contact with the ground, and your point of contact with the bike is literally your pegs and your grips.
Yeah, and I think other than that, I mean, we still have factory bars on it. I didn't change any of that stuff. I
think the bend's fine.
Yeah, the bend's fine.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with the factory bars. The only reason I got rid of the other ones is because I bent the previous ones.
Oh,
but
did you?
I think so. Or
you just met that dude.
I did meet that guy. Yeah,
you know, just like, I'll try him out.
Yeah, I was like, I'll try him out, and he was a great guy. So, but the 2025, if you guys are, I don't know how well we did comparing the two, but we did everything we could on a 20-mile roughly ride to really be mindful of the things that we were feeling and how we were riding and what the experience was like. But at the end of the day, if I had to go out there and I didn't get to pick the bike and somebody just said, all right, here's what you're riding today, I'd be like, sweet, out of either of the two bikes.
Yeah.
They are just the most well-rounded electric motorcycles that have been built to date. I'm super excited for there to be competition at some point, but right now there isn't, and it's just a fantastic bike. So if you have an opportunity to buy a 24 and you don't ride the track, get the 24 if you can save some cash.
For sure.
Because I don't really think you're going to notice too much.
I don't think you're missing out on much.
No, you're not missing out on much. But if you do want to ride more track, I do believe that this bike was built more focused on that. So if that's available to you, definitely buy the 2025. You will definitely not be disappointed. New wheels and tires. And the nice part about the 25 is it comes with an 18-inch rear.
So you could probably just get a 21-inch front if you really want to do that.
Well, you can only buy them in sets. I had to buy the KKE set, but now I have a spare that I put a brand new tire on. If I blow a tire out or we're riding in a mud race or whatever, and I just want to put a scoop on.
Two different tires.
Yep, that's it. And now I have two different back tires. So that is
a good point.
A huge advantage that's coming from the 25 that was not possible in the 2024.
Yeah, and maybe someone like Surron will just release like a 21-inch wheel.
Someday, bro.
That'd be cool just to buy like an OEM Surron wheel that looks like the 18-inch rear that you have on that bike.
Everybody would
even if you have to pay extra, even if it doesn't come from the factory that way. That'd be sick.
That would be great.
Yeah.
You're going to change the tires anyway. Those tires are trash.
Yeah. They're going to lose that KKE money.
Yeah.
KKE, I don't know who owns KKE.
I'm pretty sure
KKE's
there's
lose
some
the
way
KKE
related. Yeah, there's some way related. I don't know what it is, but that's our synopsis. I think we did everything we could to try to provide some good information and detail because there isn't a lot of long form content on 24 verse 25, but I think we did a good job of summing that up. If you guys have any questions, particularly for us, leave them in the comment section of wherever you're viewing this at. One of us will answer those questions. Mr. Nate, I'm off to Ohio tomorrow. I'll be gone all summer. You, my friend, enjoy this.
Maybe we'll do this remotely.
That's what I'm trying to rope you into. But
we'll probably do a few then.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much. If you have anything, let us know, and we will see you guys on the next one.